Well, Jennifer, World
Well,
Cup
Sarah.
is everywhere. It's just a lot going on. I feel like every time I leave the house, I was in Texas this past week. I saw a bunch of Faded Mates listeners.
So fun.
You guys, oh my. Now, I didn't think I had anything to say, but now I have a lot to say.
Oh, of course. That's how it goes.
I was in Texas. Sophie Jordan's daughter was married. Congratulations to Sophie Jordan's daughter and her husband. And I was in a town called Brenham, which is between Houston and Austin. And in this little town, there is nothing to do, I was told, except for tour the ice cream factory, which my daughter did. Because you don't have to ask her to tour an ice cream factory
I
twice.
mean, it does sound pretty fun. Yeah.
And she said, by the way, everybody, if you're ever in Brenham, Texas, and you go toward the what I think is called Bluebell ice cream factory, then you can get special flavors there that you can't get in stores.
Oh, that's fun.
Only available at the factory, including a peanut butter cup one that she said was top notch.
Oh, I mean, that's a good
I
ice
do
cream,
love peanut butter cup. Anyway, while she was touring the ice cream factory, I was doing a little book event with Shayna Galen.
So fun.
In a little bookstore called the Book Nook in Brenham, Texas, which is adorable and so cute because, Jen, this is the first time I've ever seen this. But it's just a regular old indie bookstore.
Yeah.
And it, because it's Texas, there's quite a bit of floor space. It's not enormous, but it's bigger than your normal run-of-the-mill, New York independent bookstore. But they have their romance section broken out into regular romance, romantasy, and spicy romance.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, this is kind of interesting. Now, listen, I think this is it could be tricky because spicy is who knows what's inside these cartoon covers these days.
Oh, yeah, sure. Well, and I also think, gosh, if you're like me, my spice level is, very different from other people's.
But it was Katie Robert and
sure.
Sierra Simone. There were
legitimately
people
spicy,
who were high on the spice scale naturally. But we were there, and later, V came back in after touring the ice cream factory, and she was there for the tail end of the event. And later she said to me, "Mom, there was a little kid here," and he went, "Mom, what's spicy romance?" And apparently the mom said, "It's romance that tastes like a lot of spicy flavor."
What else are you going to say, right? What else are you going to say?
Good job, Mom.
I mean, this is the infamous story when Little Romance, who, by the way, had a birthday this week, and I was like, maybe I should start calling him New Adult Romance. I'm going to stick with...
Remember when he was Lil?
I do remember when he's still Lil to me.
He'll always be Lil to us.
Right? The sort of hilarious story where he wanted to know what Rihanna's S&M meant. And I was like, I can't tell you. And he was like, don't worry, I figured it out. I was like, you could not possibly have figured it out. I mean, I was like, but go ahead. What's about to happen? He's like, sexy and mean. And I was like, you know what?
That is actually kind of right. Accurate.
That is right. Look at how smart you are.
Accurate. So anyway, the Brenham Book Nook is very fun. The manager of the Book Nook who was there and met us said, "We are the gayest place in town. And I support you." And I had a great time. And there were tons of magnificent Firebirds who rolled in from all walks of Texas.
That's great.
See me. It was very funny because every person who came in was like, "I drove here from farther away because why are you in Brenham?" And I was in Brenham because that's a nice place to get married, evidently.
Oh, that's so nice.
Anyway, everybody, welcome to Faded Mates. I'm Sarah McLean. I read romance novels, and I write them.
And I'm Jennifer Prokop, a romance reader and editor. I also have a new microphone, so I'm also real curious. I feel like I'm worried I'm going to be clipping, which is everybody when you're so noisy that you basically are too loud. And, or, whatever. So if I sound different, it's just because of my new situation.
Well, your special mic situation. We were just talking about it. If you will have missed me and Sophia Benoit, but if you are in Chicago and you are listening to this episode today on the day that we release, Jen's going to be at Women and Children First.
Yes, which is a really great Chicago bookstore, and I'm really excited about it. Yes, so
with Sophia
Tonight.
Benoit, who's been on the podcast before. So
Yeah.
congratulations to Sophia on her release week. Her new historical is called The Very Definition of Love and has a banger of a cover.
Yeah, it's got a great cover.
And is a very fun book to read. And then, so that's really it. What else is going on? It's the summer.
It's the summer. It's the summer. Well, and you know what? It's really funny because we have a topic today that we have been like sort of, okay, so everybody, I think we've talked about this. Like we have sort of like a rotating list of like kind of things we want to do and then things we think would be kind of easy to do without, you know what I mean? Where we read so much, we just need to like collect our thoughts.
If you, for example, were in Texas and didn't record the episode until the day before it came out. I mean, for example, like
we've been going through some things, everybody, and sometimes we record in advance and sometimes we do not. But the part that's really funny is, so this topic is like birthdays, right? Like characters who are having birthdays, or there's like a birthday, kind of a big something happens at a birthday party. And this has been on the list for a long time. I think maybe someone in the Discord suggested it. I can't remember, or maybe it was me, because there's so many books where like someone turns 30, right? And they're going to change their life.
Better lose your virginity.
Well, yes. So we're going to talk about that in a minute, but this has been sort of on the list for like a really long time, and we're finally doing it. And then I was like, oh my God, Sarah, what if everybody thinks we're doing this because it's close to July 4th and it's patriotic?
That's not why we're doing it at all.
And everybody, that's not why we're doing it. We plan to not talk about anything regarding any of that, including the reflecting pool, which I just know way too fucking much about at this point.
I know.
Like, why?
I never thought I would ever know this much about that fucking thing.
Anyway, what a time.
Here we are.
So we're not going to talk about any of that, but I did think it was like a ironic bit of, scheduling.
Well,
I'll just say.
Now here's the thing. So birthdays are obviously a real milestone in a normal life. Like, yeah, we spend a lot of time just like celebrating people's birthdays and talking about when our birthdays are. I'm a astrology person. I'm always saying, listen, I was just at a wedding this weekend. I spent a lot of time going, oh, when's your birthday? And there are two kinds of people, by the way. There are the people who, when you say, when's your birthday, they sort of like pull back. It's sort of a like, are you trying to steal my identity? And then there are the people who are like, December 12th, I'm a Sagittarius. Like it's all one word.
So the reason I was joking about Little Romance is calling him New Adult Romance is because he had a birthday last week, and he was 5 weeks early, which is scary. I mean, he was fine. He like came home. He was, he wasn't like a preemie. He was still like 6 pounds, but his original due date was like 5.5 weeks after when he was really born. And he this weekend was like, yeah, but I mean, can you imagine me as a Cancer? And I was like, no. Absolutely not. Clearly.
Born when he was supposed to, under the proper stars, as we say.
Clearly a little Gemini boy, little Mr. like.
So my point is, like, we do spend a lot of time talking about birthdays in the world. Yeah. But birthdays are very rare in romance.
Yeah. And I noticed something. Okay, so let's talk about that first. And then I will tell you the thing I noticed as I started to like sort of, because again, like when you're doing something like this, it's like how to like cast your mind back and find the books that you've already read with this or you've heard about. Yep. Right. It's kind of like a process of like kind of uncovering it. And even though my original idea was there's so many books like Brazen and the Beast, right, where I'm about to turn a birthday that to the character means they have to change their life in some way, right? And so I want you to talk about Brazen a little bit. I also was like, wait, why are all the birthdays from if it's a I'm sad to report I only have like male-female romances, like, right, I only have like straight romances this week. It's almost always the women's birthday. I had to like sort of cast around for like, it's the man's birthday.
Yeah.
Isn't that weird?
Well, I mean, why celebrate men is my answer to that. Every day is a man's birthday.
All right. I'll accept that as our reasoning and our logic. Sure.
No, you said that to me and I was like, holy shit.
Isn't that fascinating?
Why isn't it ever a man's birthday? And I will tell you, I have two.
I have one, and it's really interesting. It literally came out, though, like last week. And I was like, oh, look at me tripping across the exact thing I needed. But
Interesting.
I will tell you why I think it is after we talk about those books.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think there are two things going on here. One, I think birthdays are times for like genuine celebration largely. And like there isn't a whole lot of room in certainly not in the romances that you and I like, for like genuine celebration. Like
Right.
happiness is thin on the ground, really, in the books that we love. So I think there's that. I think like a birthday celebration isn't entirely compelling, like as a plot point. So what I found is, I'm going to talk about 6 books, all of which have the birthday as the plot point, like as the inciting
incident. And I think like that, to me, it's that, because if a birthday happens in the middle of the book, it's largely like not really that memorable to me. And I think because often a birthday in the middle of the book is just I need to put all these people in a room together to create some drama.
Yes.
Right?
Family,
like it's a plot
family
point
thing.
Right. So how am I going to do that? Maybe the timing isn't right for a big holiday. I don't want it to read as like a Christmas romance. So I'm just going to make it somebody's birthday. And then I can like throw all these people in a room and like shit's going to happen. Right. And I think that's like a harder book. I'm sure I have read 100 million of those books, but they don't really like ring the birthday bell in the same way for me, because it's not like, I think in a good birthday book, like, right, where the birthday is the plot, right, or is like the thing that's happening. Mm-hmm. There's two things that are going on. One is it's someone has decided to change their life, right? Or it's like a chance for some kind of reflection about like what it means to be at a certain point in your life. Right. So that I think is like the difference, right? Is it a plot point versus is it really about like kind of who the characters are and like what's going on with them?
I also think like to the gender of it all, like the reason why we don't see birthdays as like male, like it for at least male heroes, is because it doesn't matter. Age doesn't matter to men the way that it matters to women. Like in this sociologically, like nobody's like, you could still, Charlie Chaplin had babies when he was 70.
Yes, exactly. Everybody, a quote from When Harry Met Sally.
So it just feels like it's harder to imagine a hero kind of going, well, I'm turning 40 and now I better get my act together.
Listen, when Mr. Reed's romance turned 40, he like went through it. You know what I mean? Like they don't want to admit it, but they do. I also think
I'm talking about a man in romance novels, Jen.
Oh yeah, sure.
I'm not talking about a real man.
Sure. They're masters of the universe, Sarah. They don't need to be celebrated.
Exactly. But it's interesting because when you first said that to me, when you texted me and you were like, why aren't there any male birthdays in romance? Which is often, y'all, like so often one of us will text the other one and then it becomes a challenge. Like, okay, we're going to talk about this, but let me see if I can find one. And I replied to you in all caps and I was like, I think I have one, because I sort of sat quietly and started, going through the card catalog of my mind. And I came to Nikki Sloane's 3 Little Mistakes, because there is a moment at the kind of 2/3 way through that book. We did a deep dive on this book like back in season 2. And I honestly still think like this is one of my favorite romances.
Yeah.
It's a great, great romance. It's if you like a sex club, if you like something that's high spice, if you like a little bit of an age gap, like there's a lot about this book that really hits for me on a number of levels. It's super sexy. The hero is like very grown up in like a intellectual way, not in a kind of just like shorthanded alpha way. The heroine is young, but not like too young. She's not an ingenue. Like there's just a lot that I really love about this book. And as part of the plot, what I remembered, because things are hazy.
Sure, it's fine. There's a lot up there.
There are a lot of books in the card catalog, and I And I remembered, like, about 2/3 of the way through this book, there's a moment where they go into the sex club and it's empty. And it's like his best friend and his best friend's wife. And like they're like third, and then like him. And the heroine kind of turns up. I think she's been invited by someone else. And she realizes it's like a celebration for him. And she hasn't been invited to the celebration by him. Like, he didn't invite her. And in my head, I was like, I think that was a birthday. It actually isn't a birthday. It's the 20th anniversary of him being cancer-free.
Oh, right.
And
right.
It's interesting because, like, it's in my head, it has been like sort of coded as like birthday celebration. But of course, Nikki, one of the reasons why I love this book is because there's this like revelation late in the book that like he's been through something very traumatic, and it is cancer, right? And
right.
He was young, he was a teenager, and then he, was lucky, had great treatment, and was cured. And so these friends, this like very tight knit community of his celebrates him as an anniversary every year. And I think that's interesting too, like the choice to make it about this moment in his life that was like a triumph.
Yes.
Rather than a birthday, right? Like it's sort of and so there's something about that I think you could probably interrogate, like someone smarter than me could interrogate it as like
it's like my self-made man birthday.
Hero, it has to be something more than just like, congratulations, you took a first breath. This week's episode of Fated Mates is sponsored by Lottie R. James, author of From Rogue to Viscount.
All right, so we have a hidden identity romance set in the 1830s. So, mysterious valet Josiah Meadows works in a like sort of grand British, home, of course. And what happens is Sophia Guaro, who is like sort of penniless, is the guest in her brother in this home. And she's really feeling stifled. And there's like really only one escape she has, which is sneaking out with Josiah, right? The family valet. It's exploring like London's underworld. So Josiah himself has been drawn back into his criminal past, right? Like he's trying to be on the straight and narrow as a valet when he's forced to take one last mission to retrieve a painting from Cornwall. And Sophia essentially like will not be left behind. So he has to resist his beguiling accomplice, all the while swearing to never return to his own aristocratic family. So this is a man torn between criminal, aristocrat, duty, and of course, the beautiful Sophia.
Lottie singing my song. If you love a forced proximity with a road trip, an age gap, and a hidden identity with an only one bed sprinkled in, then From Rogue to Viscount is for you. You can get it right now in print or ebook. And if your podcasting app supports it, you can click on the chapter title to be taken to learn more. Thanks to Lottie R. James for sponsoring this week's episode.
All right. So one of the things that I want you to talk about then before we like launch into this a little bit is, are you willing? I know you hate to talk about your own books, but do it, girl.
Always.
Talk about Brazen and the Beast, because this is, right, she's like, I'm going to turn 30 and I can't be a virgin any longer.
So this is not an uncommon plot, right?
No, this is common.
This is a trope I really enjoy. Lisa Kleypas wrote it in Suddenly You, which is on my list. And the premise being like, we're about to turn 30. I think Hattie it is her 29th birthday. It is the night of her 29th birthday. And she knows 30 is looming. And this is my book. She knows 30 is looming. And she understands that like there are a number, she wants to inherit the family business. Like she's basically like, her father is like, no, women don't inherit the business. Women get married. And she's like, fuck this. Like she's like, I'm not interested in that. I'm very good at the business. My idiot brother is going to inherit this business and run it into the ground. In fact, he already is running it into the ground.
Yeah.
and I want it. And in order for me to have it, my only shot at getting it is to make myself unmarriageable, which means I need to get myself ruined. And
Ruination.
so, listen, I need to get myself ruined is a real Sarah McLean classic.
Oh, yeah.
And
Did we do a whole episode on ruination? I hope we did.
I love I need to get myself ruined, right? To get these men out of my hair, which is always the subtext of my personal ruinations. And so to get these men out of her hair, she makes an appointment at a brothel run by a woman. And she is like, I'm going there. I have filled out a form. I have ordered the,
exact
I have ordered
kind
off
of gentleman.
the menu.
Amazing.
And she's ready to go. She brings her carriage around. She gets into the carriage. And wouldn't you know it, Jen, there is a man tied up in there very inconveniently.
It's so great. It really is.
And she is like, now what in the hell are you doing here? And he is like, now what in the hell am I doing here?
Yeah, it's great. It's great. It's great.
And then I mean, what can you do? She kisses him and then pushes him directly out of the carriage because she has places to go. She has placed an order, and she needs to go and pick it up. And so she pushes him out of the carriage. Amazing. And then, of course, he is like just exasperated and infuriated and obsessed all at once. And
all at once.
Just so happens to be related to the owner of this brothel. Lucky, conveniently.
Convenient.
And so when she gets there to pick up her order, wouldn't you believe they have mixed it up? They've switched out the bags. And instead of this like perfectly lovely, like very gentle, sweet cinnamon roll of a man to take her virginity that night, in comes Beast.
What
and
a dream.
He just wants to eat a meal.
Listen, what else do you need to know,
and
right?
But Hattie, I mean, it's more than this, right? Like Hattie has a plan for her 29th year.
Of course.
It's the year. It's going to be the year of Hattie. She has a list of things she wants to do. It's not like quite an obvious list, but it's like she's going to take control of her life in like all these different ways. And the first one, because in her mind, she's like, this is the easiest. It's just like ripping off a Band-Aid. Like the other stuff is more complicated. Little does she know. It's about to get real complicated. And so really, I think like birthdays, at least like when in this particular trope, right, which is also the Lisa Kleypas Suddenly You trope. And there are others where it's like, I'm turning 30. I need to lose my virginity. In Suddenly You, she hires an escort to come to her house. And of course, the madam she uses to hire the escort is like, no, she's too soft, too perfect for an escort. I'm going to send her a man who has like power and privilege. And then there's this like, it is truly one of the greatest moments, I think, in historical romance where her name is Sarah. No, her name is Amanda. I'm sorry, not Sarah.
I was like,
that's Sarah Craven. Her name is Amanda. And where Amanda like opens the door and she thinks this man is an escort and he thinks he's there for a business meeting.
Yes.
And they are very confused. Like they have this whole conversation that's cross purpose. Mm-hmm. And then he finally understands.
Figures it
he's
out,
like, oh shit, I'm doing this.
Yeah.
And then he like pretends to be an escort. And it's all great. Like, I mean, it's very Kleypas and very terrific. But I think in that storyline is about the choice to transform, right? Like a character making a choice to change their lives, to change their path. And of course, we see this in a million ways in romance, right? Like romance is about changing your path. It's about proactive people being proactive. And I think that's particularly true in MF romance. It's particularly true of the heroines, right? Like,
right. Which is why I think like as I was thinking about it, it's like why I think like when it's the man's birthday in a heterosexual romance, right? Like a cishet romance, I think like often it is still the female character who is impacted by it, right? In the two examples I have, right? Like it's his birthday, but she's the one who's like going through something. So,
Correct.
yeah, we can talk about them in any order. You have 6, I only have 4.
I already did it. I did.
You started,
so you go.
Okay. All right.
But do you have any others that it's funny because I think Suddenly You looms so large for me that it feels like it's a common trope. And I don't think it's an uncommon trope, but I couldn't really think of another one.
Oh, like where she's turning 30 or something?
She's turning this number and therefore she's doing a thing.
Okay. I think there is one, and I'm not going to be able to come up with the title because we did it as an ad. Let me like talk through this. It's like a woman who's like turning 30, but her life goes sideways and she has to move back to LA and be with her sister. Yes, and I thought it was like Riley something maybe, but I don't know the title. This is one of those things, Sarah, though, where like everyone listening right now is shouting at us on the radio because
there are so many.
Okay, I've talked about this book a lot, so I think maybe I'll just start here because we've also talked about Suddenly You before. So just like maybe start like the familiar ones. So in Nero by S.J. Tilley, who I love this book. He is like, essentially like a crime lord. And the way they have met is he's like trying to elude the cops and her balcony is open. Her like second floor balcony is open. She's literally, you all watching, The Wizard of Oz. And like he appears. He essentially like climbs up her balcony and appears. And she's like really terrified. Her name's Peyton. She's really scared, but also like frozen. I've been reading this book called like Girls Stay Still or something. That's not the title of it. I'll put it in show notes about like how we talk about like fight or flight, but like often women when they are in like scary things will like freeze instead. Yeah. And anyway, he's really obsessed with her. She's like different than anybody he's ever met before or whatever. And so he, like one night she leaves the balcony open again and he's been watching and he understands this is like a signal. Like it means like, she's like, I'm opening my door to you. So he comes up like she loses her virginity. Like they have great sex and she's kind of like, okay, well, I guess that's like what's over. And he leaves. And then like in the next day or two, I can't remember if it's the next morning, she finds this like invitation to his birthday party and it's really fancy and it's been like slid under the door. Mm-hmm. And he has told her like, you have to be secret because if my enemies figure out who you are, like we'll be in danger. But she kind of doesn't know what that means. She's like she's like a barista at a local coffee shop. So anyway, Sarah, she shows up. It's like very, I don't know. I really felt really sympathetic towards this moment. She goes to like kind of like TJ Maxx and finds like a party dress and these like ice blue shoes that like are really pretty but don't quite fit right. And she goes to this birthday party, which is, to everyone else in in Minneapolis, Nero is like the owner of like a security company. They don't realize like he's a gangster. And so it's in like this really fancy place and everyone's really fancy. And at the door, they actually ask her for the invite and are kind of like, are you here alone? Most women are here. And she kind of doesn't quite understand that he's implying that most women who come in by themselves are escorts, right? Like clearly something is happening.
Yep.
And she like walks in and she's like, no, I'm with Nero. And the guy just kind of looks at her and lets her in because she's got the invite. And, she's like really happy that she wanted to keep it. I mean, this is like a really like this scene gets played really like you're kind of like, oh shit, what's about to happen? Well, she walks in and she sees Nero with another woman. And then we like switch to his point of view. And he's like, this whole birthday party is such bullshit. I don't want to be here. And he sees her. And he is furious because she's not supposed to be there. Like now his enemies will figure out that she's there. So he ignores her. And shit, Sarah, like poor Peyton, like understands that he's going to like disavow her essentially and not recognize her. And she goes off to the bathroom and like tries to make her escape and goes the wrong way. And like, then like, you know, it's raining and she goes outside and she like falls. The whole thing is, I describing it, it's so painful. And I like love this scene and I've read it a million times because in a romance, like really all I want is for like people to like really just go through it.
Yeah.
And she is like, I'm going to have to like leave town and find another place. Like I will never live with this humiliation. And so she goes home and she's like, kind of starts packing. And then it's like, it's not like he's going to show up. You know, like he made
Except
it so
this man,
clear.
Like, arrived on her balcony like Batman once.
And listen, Sarah, he shows up and
he
is
does.
like basically discovers that like someone slipped her, you know, she's like, why did you invite me if you were going to humiliate me? And he's like, wait, what are you talking about? And that's when he realizes like somebody already knows about Peyton. And he's basically like, enough of your crappy little, you know, apartment. You're coming to live with me in my mansion. And you know what, you guys, it's a great fucking scene.
And he buys her a case of her rose smelling soap. And that's
because he wants her to smell that way and he wants to jerk off with it. What a time.
We are simple people.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. And it's like, you know what, though? It is like I said, like the scene is like really this like moment where things change for both of them, where he's kind of like, fuck it. I am not going to hide her away. Like she's my queen, my mafia queen.
Perfect.
The mafia queen of Minneapolis. S.J. Tilly, I love you. This week's episode of Fate Inmates is brought to you by Blue Box Press, publishers of To Catch a Sinner by Dylan Allen, writing as Lucy Wilson Tago.
Our heroine, Sin Saki, is a journalist who is driven by the same need that every first-generation eldest daughter is driven by. She has aimed to make her family proud. She built a career. She chose her partners with that single goal, and everything was working out fine until a near-death experience makes the truth impossible to deny, which is everything was not working out fine. Her relationship is on life support. Her journalism career is in free fall, and the city she thought she'd conquered has chewed her up and spit her out right back to her hometown of Washington, D.C. And she thinks this is a time to turn over a new leaf. No more chasing criminals, no more men who look too good to be true, except right there on the first day back in D.C., she gets a new lead that gives her an opportunity to resurrect her career and take down an entire black market empire. And she's invited to dinner by a very sexy, very handsome, very cool guy. She is suddenly back in her old habits, being a journalist, skulking around, and having delicious dinners with men who seem too good to be true. And just when it seems like her gamble might pay off and she might get everything that she wants, it starts to seem like the lead that she had is more of a trap, and that this handsome man who she is with just might be the one who said it. This one is going to be a delicious romantic suspense, and you're not going to want to miss it.
Amazing. So if you're interested in reading To Catch a Sinner, it is available in print, ebook, and audio. If your podcasting app supports it, you can click on the chapter title right now to be taken to buy the book. Thanks to Blue Box Press and Dylan Allen, writing as Lucy Wilson Tago, for sponsoring this week's episode.
I ended up thinking about this in themes, right? So the first version was like books where, you know, like suddenly you embrazen where like she's turning 30 and she's got to get rid of her virginity or whatever. And then I have a separate one, which is like birthdays as inciting incident, but like young birthdays. And then, but I want to talk about Sophie Jordan's Wicked in Your Arms next.
Okay.
I think this is a really clever way of handling a birthday and like using a birthday for a very unique point in the book. So this is the first in Sophie's Forgotten Princesses series. The conceit of this series is that there are these three daughters who are kind of accidental. They're like lost as children from their their like parents, and it turns out that they are each, women of birth and of noble birth, but they don't know it when they they haven't grown up that way, and each one has like a prince who comes to find them. It's very like it's a perfect,
very like fairy tale coded, right?
Setup.
Yeah.
So the premise of this one, and they've all been like, they're all like illegitimate children, and they all have like relationships to like unsavory characters. So in this one, this is Greer's book, and Greer has an enormous, like, her father, her like illegitimate father, who is like a big scoundrel, has left her a massive, or has given her a massive dowry. Like, she is so incredibly wealthy. And her prince, Sebastian, although I think it's Sebastian, actually, with a V. So he is looking for a young woman to marry. He is in town from his, whatever country. Sure. Who cares what it's called? And he needs a woman with a massive fortune, and then he needs to get her married and get an heir off of this girl. The issue is that he meets Greer, and kind of they instantly are there. Sparks fly in the wrong way. Like, they're hot for each other, but also they can't stand each other. And one of the big issues is that not only is she just simply like not qualified in any way to be a princess, because he thinks she's crass and like, unprincess-like. But also, he is very concerned because she is old. And
she's like 22.
She's 28. And he initially is like, well, I will marry you. And then there's this great moment where he says, how old are you? And she's sort of like, I'm not going to, like, you're not supposed to ask women that question. And he's like, I need to know. Like, I'm a prince, and I need to know how old you are. And she says, I'm 28. And he literally like recoils. And he's like, and she goes, what is wrong with you? You're also 28. And he's like, yeah, but I'm a man. And so it doesn't matter. And she's like, no, you're a jackass. Like, literally says that. It's perfect. Amazing. It's like a perfect moment where she's like, what the fuck? And he's like, well, and he's sort of so thrown off by the fact that they are the same age. And he's like, what day is your birthday? And she's like, I'm not telling you that. Like, and it becomes a running joke through the book, like with the reader, that like he's constantly trying to figure out like what day she was born, to figure out if she is older or younger than he is. And it's like a thing that's really like, it is a big deal to him. And then like, obviously they fall for each other. And then as the romance sort of like comes to pass, and you all know, like, Sophie Jordan knows the job. The romance is really breathless and beautiful and like so sexy. And then like, at the very end of the book, I'm going to spoil it for you because it's so perfectly done. It's the last chapter of the book, or it might even be the epilogue. And they're lying in bed and they're like idyllic and happy. And she says, tomorrow's my birthday. And he says, he stills and he goes, tomorrow's my birthday.
Amazing.
And then he says, well, what time of day were you born?
What time were you born? Men. Amazing. It's perfect.
I mean, it's really, really fun. And, it's a perfect, this whole series is very fairy tale-y. It's like, it delivers all the things that historical should deliver. But then it has this like really lovely through line of birthday, not as a really like relevant plot point, but like a charming, fun. Yeah. There's a real like delight as a reader when it comes up. So that's Wicked in Your Arms by Sophie Jordan.
Amazing. I love it. This is the one, it literally, you guys, it just came out like a week ago. It's called All of Me by Tia Rain. And it is the first in a new series she's just started, because I think this is the first book called the Divorce Book Club series. So in this book, okay, we get the prologue is where the birthday happens. And Ella has been married to Drew for 15 years. They got married when they were 22 because she was pregnant. So she's like 37, right? They're in their like late 30s. And it is his birthday. And we're in her point of view. And she's sort of like, I've pulled together this whole event, right? Like he said he wanted this. It's family's here, friends are here. This is what he said he wanted. And then like she sort of is like, until like this morning when all of a sudden he's like, I don't want this. And she was kind of like, too late, buddy, we're doing it, right? So he gets up to give his birthday speech and he sort of starts by saying like, I didn't even want this to happen. And this is, I think, when she starts thinking like, what a jackass. Like, and you can tell already that like there is a lot of tension in their marriage, right? Like she feels like, like the sex is a little boring and, a little stale and, but I do my job as his wife. I take care of our 2 kids and I plan these events and I he makes more money than me. She has a job or whatever. But this is just how it is. Mm-hmm. And this motherfucker, that would be her husband, stands up to give his birthday speech and looks at her in front of everybody and says, I want a divorce. Yes. And I was like, and listen, and she is just like sitting there again, like kind of frozen, like what the fuck? Because the humiliation of this moment, right? And then like her mom and her stepdad are like sort of fighting with him. And, his parents are just like excusing his bad behavior and right. And she just like gets up and like walks out. Like, she's like, I understand like what he wants me to do right now is kind of cause a scene and then everyone will see what a bitch I am.
Yeah,
and, right. I'll be at, and he'll win. And
drama.
Right. By me. Right. So she gets up and leaves. And the person who follows her out, her name is Ella. The person who follows Ella out is Mitch. And Mitch and Ella and Drew had been friends for a really long time. They've known each other since high school. And Mitch is like disgusted by what's happened and sort of is like, don't worry, Ella, like, don't worry. Like you didn't deserve that. Like you're always looking to sort of blame yourself, but like that was not okay. So that's like the prologue. And then it picks up a year and a half later. Mitch and Ella are now neighbors, right? Ella essentially, like, the divorce has happened. She kind of fought it for a while and, wanted to go to therapy or whatever. And, it didn't work out. And, she took the money from like selling their house that they lived in and has bought her own house. And Mitch, who is a contractor, has helped her like kind of pick out this house. And conveniently, it is right next door to him because, as it turns out, Sarah, Mitch has been in love with Ella ever since they were in high school, right? Forever. Of course, forever. And basically, he'd had this crush on her.
He's just been waiting for this idiot man
to
be an idiot.
He cannot, like, they're distant, but Drew's still his friend, and this still, feels like the bro code, whatever. Now, listen, I feel like 10 years ago, I would have said this and been shocked at myself. But now I was really grateful for it. Okay. Her ex-husband is a dirtbag and he's terrible. And Mitch has an ex-wife who is also terrible. And I feel like there's sort of a long series of time where I was like, stop making the exes terrible people, right?
But
and now I'm like,
your ex is a terrible person.
Sometimes your ex is a terrible person. And they both have kids. And so like one of the things they have in common is how are they managing like being good parents to a terrible ex, right? Because that ex is like feels free to like sort of badmouth them in front of the kids but they don't want to. And so it's really like this kind of like beautiful like story about 2 people who like have really been into each other for a long time, kind of trying to find their way through this like minefield of like this situation being kind of what it is. Anyway, I will admit, everybody, I have not finished this book. I started it and was kind of like really into it, and then we were recording, but I'm definitely going to finish it. But I was also just like really taken by, I don't know, like it's messy. And I right now am kind of like really into any contemporary romance that delivers any kind of mess because I just want it to be, I really want the stakes to feel high. I want the emotions to feel high. And this opening really did devastate me. Now, in terms of the, like what the rest of the series will be, Ella's divorce book club friends, there's like 6 of these women. These will be the future heroines, obviously, kind of like band together and are like, we're going to help you. We're going to get you on the dating apps. You know what I mean? We're going to like, you need to get your hair done. You're not really taking care of yourself. And Ella's kind of like, I can't really afford it. And they're like, no, they're like fairy godmother book club it up. Right.
I love it.
It is. It's great. And it's just like so far been a really like fun, but like really like messy read. And listen, I love it. I love their villainous exes and how terrible they are. That's All of Me by Tia Rain.
This week's episode of Fated Mates is sponsored by the Undergrads Student Union by Julie Murphy.
So Clover Walsh knows the plan, and that is getting a full ride to her dream school, conquering the School of Business, and then really like getting herself and her mom out of this like paycheck to paycheck lifestyle they've been having to live. There's only one hiccup. With the first semester rapidly approaching, Clover learns that her housing grant has fallen through, but a loophole is that married couples can live in the dorms for the price of one student. So Clover essentially proposes to the one person she swore she'd never speak to again. That's Bennett Graves. He's heir to the Graves coffee empire. He spent his first year at Wexley having a great time, barely squeaking by in his classes, but becoming personally acquainted with all the women on campus. And he is looking forward to living off campus to like kind of like be on the straight and narrow. So he really, like, for a reason, romance reasons, owes Clover a yes. So he agrees that they should like live together in this dorm. And this is like they're hiding the true nature of their marriage, but playing house isn't that bad when they're sharing one bed. So what's going to happen in this college rom-com?
Well, if you would like to know what's going to happen in this college rom-com, you can read it right now in print, ebook, or audiobook. If your podcasting app supports it, you can click on the chapter title right now to be taken to buy the book. Get your copy wherever books are sold or learn more at Macmillan.com. Thanks so much to Julie Murphy and Macmillan for sponsoring this week's episode. Okay, so the next category of romance that I want to get to is I was 18 at the time.
I got one of those.
And I made a big mistake, which isn't actually a big mistake in the long run. So I want to start with Naima Simone's Witness to Passion.
Ooh.
Which is kind of a romantic suspense. Like it has a suspensey little plot that runs through it. So here's the premise. Fallon, our heroine, it begins on her birthday. And she is I don't know how old she is. She's like a grown-up. She's like a person in the world. But it is her birthday, and it literally begins with like her best friend calling her and being like, happy birthday. Like,
yeah.
And she is like, I hate birthdays. And she goes through a list in this, right at the very start of the book. She's like in line for coffee. She's, having this kind of chaotic day related to work. She's got to get coffee to her boss. She has to do like a million different things. It's her birthday. She's like, listen, my birthday has been terrible forever. Like on my 5th birthday, my dad walked out. On my 6th birthday, or like, on my 6th birthday, my mom gave my dog away. Like there's like this terrible list of all these like things that have happened to her over the course of her life on her birthdays. And she's like, I'm done with birthdays. Like, thanks so much, but no. And then she sort of thinks to herself, and she's talking to her best friend, and she's like, and then in her head, she's like, and then there was the 18th birthday, which I can't even talk to you about because on her 18th birthday, she walked up to Shane Rourke, her best friend's older brother.
Sure.
And planted one on him.
Oh, no.
And he was basically like, I don't think so, and left and joined the military. Like he left so far, he went to war.
He was like, baby girl, no. Dang.
So he left. And she's like, and this was like, I mean, just an like what a she can't even think about birthdays without thinking about this.
Oh, yeah, totally.
So she hangs up on her. She's like, I gotta go. I gotta pick up all this coffee. She hangs up on her best friend. She gets her coffee. She heads out to her car, which is like parked around the corner from the coffee shop. And as she's like kind of fumbling to get into the car, there are gunshots behind her. She drops to the ground, like scared, turns. A man is now dead next to her on the ground.
Oh, no.
And she looks up and she sees the killer. Like, she sees him.
Sure.
And this guy walks over to her and is basically like, if you say a fucking thing, I'm going to find you and I'm going to kill you. And she's like, birthdays are the fucking worst, right?
Woo.
So then it cuts to 3 months later.
Yeah.
And like, she is the only witness to this crime. And this guy, who is the head of a Boston, like, Irish gang, is after her. And she needs a bodyguard, Jen. And wouldn't you know it, Shane has come back from war, and he happens to be, luckily, coincidentally.
Just what else? Listen, my understanding is that's the only possible job
That's
you
the
can have
next
after
job. That's
war.
what happens. You come home from war, you open a security firm with all of your friends who are also all hot.
Yeah, of course.
And you have so much money that like you could just take on watching this woman 24/7.
I mean, yeah.
And
no one else can do it, Sarah.
No, because witness protection, Jen, as Shane says, is like nonsense. They can't keep her safe. But like he can keep her safe in his safe house before the trial, the whole thing goes to trial. And she's like, I really don't think you need to protect me, even though, I mean, are you kidding me, Fallon? Like, you're literally, there are just gunmen everywhere, all over Boston looking for you. And Shane's like, I think it's best if we stay in the same house. If you sleep in my bed, although I will tell you, Jen, they don't sleep in the same bed at the beginning. And then, and they're so hot for each other. There's a scene you would very much like where he's like sleeping on the couch and she like comes out with a blanket to like put it on him. And she's like looking at his sleeping body and she like notices that he is fairly well endowed. Not fairly, everybody. Well endowed. And like then it starts to like a classic romance moment where it starts to like wake up while she's looking at it.
Like a periscope.
And then
the presence of my lady.
Like a periscope. And when she looks up it and he's looking at her and she's like, oh, and then later, I mean, it's Naima, right? So it's so sexy. Like there's so much sex in this book. And then later he's like asleep or no, she thinks he's asleep and she like goes into his room and he's like, of course, masturbating in bed.
Sure.
And she just watches him.
Why wouldn't you?
And it's just great.
Oh, all right. I don't know. Okay. I'm gonna like get us like.
Anyway, so that's Witness to Passion, everybody. You're gonna have a great time. It's like, just for the record, every time anybody says to me, Sarah, when are you gonna run for office? It's things like a periscope to really keep me out of the running.
All right, I am going to talk about Birthday Girl by Penelope Douglas. Now, everybody, I'm going to tell you, have you read this? Yeah, this is a birthday classic. It's also like, I was kind of fascinated. It's been around for a while. This is the first time I read it. Jordan has just turned 19, and she is like living a hard life, right? Like she grew up, her mom abandoned them. Her dad is sort of the town drunk. They live in a like a trailer home with her stepmom, and that's like okay, but like not great. And the stepmom though has like sons, and like just Jordan is really like, just like, I want to go to college. I want to be like a landscape architect. She has big dreams, but like really cannot like make it happen. And part of the reason she can't make it happen is she has this like deadbeat boyfriend, Cole, who is also like 19, right? Who like, they're supposed to be like paying the rent and he's like drinking it away and all this stuff. So she works as a bartender at sort of like the rundown bar in her neighborhood or in her town, while her older sister, who's like 23, is actually like works at like a bar where she could make better money, but she would probably end up being a stripper. And Jordan just doesn't want that, right? Like she doesn't like think her sister's a bad person, but Jordan had like a really bad experience with a high school boyfriend who, I think knocked her around a little bit. And Jordan's just like, I just can't imagine like getting up there and, like just the boys that I went to high school with, like that's all still so present for her. So it's her birthday. Her boyfriend's supposed to pick her up at work, but she's gotten off a little early. And he's like not answering his phone. Like they'd arranged that he would pick her up at 2 a.m. when the bar closed, but it's midnight. And so Jordan's like, well, rather than just like sit here because I'm not getting paid, it's a slow night and I'm like, kind of the youngest employee, I'm going to go down the block to like the midnight movie theater and watch this show. And she meets this guy who is like older than her, but they have this like really fun interaction. And she shares her birthday donuts with him and like has, snuck in some wine. And, it's just like a really like good interaction. And it's not like they're flirty a little bit, but she's like, I have a boyfriend and you're older. And she's kind of like, how old is he? Like maybe 30? Whatever. So she goes outside. She's going to call the boyfriend. And this guy is like, sort of like, I'll stand here. I don't really feel great about you being out here late at night. And it turns out that this is, of course, everyone, her boyfriend's dad.
I mean, there are only like 3 men in this town. So.
Obviously, right? Now, he's 38, right? Like he was young when he had his son and he owns a construction company in town and like basically like long story short ends up that Cole, the boyfriend, and Jordan are going to live with him. And the deal is he's like, you can live here rent free. All I'm going to ask is that you help with like the chores, you help with the cooking, you help with the yard work, because that will be like sort of, that will help me out and I'll be helping you out. And what happens is like Cole is like the deadbeat, Jordan's the one doing all the work. And so like she and Pike, that's the dad, end up like sort of like establishing a friendship and then eventually like realizing they're attracted to each other. Now I realize this is not going to work for everybody, but it really did feel to me like a fairly interesting age gap romance in that he has like wisdom, but also like really entrenched fears, right? Like he's kind of like, I had a bad relationship with my son's mother. I still do. Trying to get my life together. I want Cole to like, I'm Cole's father. I cannot actually get with Cole's girlfriend. Mm-hmm. Now, of course, what we're going to find out is like Cole's been cheating on her. He like leaves. Jordan's like, I have to leave too. I can't live with your dad if you're not here. Mm-hmm. But Pike is like, no, you can. Yeah. Now, everybody, I thought that this
could go wrong.
Yeah. Now, it's definitely, don't get me wrong, like, it's playing with, like, the taboo of this.
Yeah, of course.
But in a very romancy way. It is not, like, kink, right? Like, it's not like a Jessica Kane book where you're like,
no,
yeah,
but I do love, listen, I'm so basic. I love a, like, dad recognizes that his son is a terrible boyfriend.
Yes.
And is like, let me get in here and sort this out.
And I think, like, the thing that I actually really appreciate about this book is that, like, Jordan is, like, in some ways more, like often in these books, it's kind of like both like it's one way or the other, right? Like I'm the older one and I have something to offer you. But like, what is it that the older one is learning from the one who's like younger and still has this like fresh, like, I don't know, like kind of view of life. The future is in front of them, not like constantly behind them. And I think that is what made that book really work for me. It's kind of like one of those books where like, am I going to like this? And then I like just read the whole thing. It was really fun. And I think, like I said, takes the idea of like what it would really mean for Pike to date his son's girlfriend seriously, and then takes this pretty big age gap between them, seriously. So, and I think it was one of the first ones I've read where like this man truly is tortured. Like he's like, I'm going to be 50 one day. He's like the Meg Ryan character, and you are going to be 29. Like, this is crazy. Like, I can't do this to you. And takes like sort of himself as a, like, yes, I'm in love with this girl, but like she's young and I'm not, and I'm going to ruin her life. And I ended up really liking it. So if you haven't read Birthday Girl by Penelope Douglas, I was like, oh, it's good.
You had a nice time.
I had a nice time.
All right. Good job.
And I think, like I said, like the whole idea of age, like what age really means, age, experience, wisdom, youth. I think this book like really like honestly engages with those at all levels.
I think the other thing that's interesting about that, and it ties in with another book that I want to talk about, which is, again, a sort of young heroine who makes a mistake on her 18th birthday, is the question of like responsibility, like where do loyalty and responsibility come into play when like some of these choices get made?
This week's episode of Fated Mates is brought to you by LUMI Gummies. Consistent, mellow, and super delicious. LUMI Gummies are specifically designed to make you feel good, not stoned. Whether you're looking for an end-of-day de-stressor, a midday mood boost, or help getting the best sleep ever, LUMI Gummies have a strain that's right for you.
So everybody, I think, knows by now, if you've been listening, that I have this gummed up knee. And I will tell you, and it's getting like, it's here. It feels like it's here to stay. But every night now I'm sort of like, okay, I get into bed and I put my THC cream on my knee, and then I take my gummy and I go right to sleep. And I feel really lovely. And LUMI Gummies is really doing me a service.
It's the best when it comes to sleep, for sure.
Very happy to be able to do these ads for them because it feels like they've come in a clinch. In fact, when I was headed to Texas last week, I said to Eric, I was like, do you think I can take them on the plane? And he was like, I don't think so. You know, we were going back and forth about it. And I was like, but they come through the mail. They're free. They come through the U.S. Postal Service. They must be allowed. Ultimately, I didn't try it, but you know,
I have. It's fine. All right, so
that's not legal advice, everyone.
None of this is. We're also not doctors. We're gonna have to redo this whole ad. All right, so LUMI Gummies are available nationwide. Go to lumigummies.com. That's LUMI gummies.com, and use the code FATEDMATES for 30% off your order. Again, that's LUMI gummies.com, code FATEDMATES. lumigummies.com, code FATEDMATES. Thanks, as always, to LUMI Gummies for sponsoring this week's episode.
Okay, so Kylie Scott, who we love here on the podcast, wrote a book called It Seemed Like a Good Idea at the Time. And the premise here is Adele is the heroine, and her father owns a construction business, and his kind of employee slash like partner, kind of closer to partner than employee, Pete, is 15 years older than Adele and has been around her for much of her like preteen and teenage years. And he's always been incredibly kind to her. Like he's really been a friend to her in a number of different like moments, but like totally appropriate, like not at all, nothing inappropriate or creepy at all. She, of course, is an impressionable teen. She develops a kind of like brutal crush on him. And on her 18th birthday, there's a big birthday party, and you know, and he's there because of course he is, because he loves her and like is a part of her life. And she flashes him in the hall. She drinks too much. She flashes him in the hallway, and he is like, no. Like, no. And she is so embarrassed. I mean, like brutally embarrassed. Yeah. So embarrassed that she leaves their town in Australia and like moves to another place on the continent and doesn't come back for 7 years. Like, it's like, I'm I cannot.
Yeah.
Well,
it is horrifying.
I mean, awful. And so 7 years later, and like the father sees it and thinks that Pete has been inappropriate, and he like punches Pete and breaks his nose. Like it's like a whole thing. And I mean, it's just horrifying. So she goes off. The dad now is getting remarried, and she's been invited home for the wedding. And so Adele returns home knowing that like this is just going to be a humiliating, terrible experience. She gets home and, turns out her dad is marrying somebody much younger than him. Like it's all kind of chaotic. She ends up staying with Pete because there is like a, room situation happening. And it's just, the worst. Right. But now she's 25. He's 40. And there is like, I think this is a really interesting version of this story because in like the Naima book or in like any of the books, like there are so many age gap books, right? Like,
right.
Where, when you think about like QB Tyler or like Jessica Kane, like people who write, write like she turned 18 and then suddenly we were banging, right? It's always a little bit muddy. The like,
sure,
like
it's like a lot of those books are like pure kink, right?
Yeah,
you're not really reading it for
questionable, right? But in this case, Kylie makes it so clear that Pete had no feelings whatsoever in that direction.
He was like shocked,
right? He was shocked. He just like it never occurred to him that this was. That she would feel that way, let alone like, and so now that she's back and she's 25, like he's like, oh, this is like a different person. And what's very cool about this book is she is a different person. Like Kylie has sent her away to grow up. It's been 7 years. She hasn't been home. And I think like, it's interesting because when she gets home, Pete has this like he has a bunch of girlfriends, like he has a bunch of women who've been in his life. Like he's been living a life that is not, he hasn't been waiting around for her. Like there is nothing fantastical about this romance. This is like a romance between two people who are now grown-ups.
Yeah.
And the birthday party and the experience of humiliation at the very beginning is again this sort of the inciting incident, but it's not the inciting incident for their romance. It's the inciting incident for Adele to take action. So it's like a little bit of a merge of like I'm turning 30 and I need to get my act together, and the 18-year-old makes a bad mistake.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, I have only one more. It's a birthday shot by Rilsey Adams. And this is by far like the one that is just like the sexiest, right? This is just like a super sexy kind of like fun romance. So what this is Shay is our heroine, and she is like a famous kind of travel blogger, right? She has kind of created this world where she gets to like travel and see everything. And like, she's right in the middle when the book opens of, I think she grew up in Antigua, I think is where the book takes place in the Caribbean. And she's doing like kind of like carnival and like all these different places. And, and she just like loves it. Like, this is just like, and it's like really interesting. It's framed as sort of like, this was a risk for her. Yeah. Right? Like, it's not just like something, but she's really made something like sustainable out of something she loves. And so she's home for her birthday, her 30th birthday. So this is like my 130th birthday book, but she doesn't want to change her life. Her life's fucking awesome.
Yeah. And
what happens is she has decided to come home for a big 30th birthday party. And part's really cute. She's like, what kind of party did she want, right? Because of her connections in the like sort of travel world, she could do whatever. But what she decides to do instead is basically throw a huge fucking house party that's all going to be like sort of like 90s, like house music and, And so what happens is her brother's best friend, Kofi, it comes. And Kofi has his own like sort of like complicated relationship with his own parents. You know, his mom essentially got remarried when he was very young to a man who was like basically abusive. And the mom just like couldn't like face it. So he never really felt supported by her. So instead, he spent almost all of his time at like Shay's house with her older brother. So if she's turning 30, he's like 32, 33. And the brother has made it very clear that he never wants these two to get together. There was sort of a moment when Shay was 18 where she kind of like, you know, was like kind of eyeing Kofi, and Kofi was just like, I can't do this. This is my brother's, you know, my best friend. And it's not just that he's like my best friend. He's like literally like my brother. Like I grew up in this household. And her brother, I can't remember his name right now, I'm sorry, was always like, that's your sister. And Kofi's like in his head, like, this is not my sister, man. Like he is super attracted to her. So anyway, then a couple years ago, the brother kind of fell in love. And there was like this point where they were all supposed to be spending time together, but the brother kept like leaving with his like hot girlfriend. And like, so Kofi and Shay had sort of like developed like a real friendship at that point. But they both kind of knew that it was forbidden. So anyway, here it is, 30th birthday. It's like this huge party. And like all of a sudden, like it just feels like there's nothing to keep them from being together. And listen, they have the hottest sex in a bathroom, like at this party where she's just like, let's go. And she's like, yes, let's fucking go. And they just have this, and it's like one of those things where it's like one of those delightful romances where the groundwork for the way they know each other has been so well established that like, it's like instead of like, I mean, it's like, think about like I don't know, like, you know, like it's like at the beginning of a race, like a horse race, like everybody's in there, like all the horses are in their little pens. Mm-hmm. And then like they open the gates and all of a sudden it's just like everybody's running as fast as they can. That's like the pace of this romance, right? Like because once the gates are open and there's nothing to keep them from being together anymore. And, you know, like there's like work, like, right, with the brother. And I will say, you know, the brother is such a jackass about it. And you're kind of like, wait, what's happening? And then at the end, when he finally talks about his feelings, I felt really sympathetic to him, where he was like, this isn't about me not wanting you to be together. It's my fear that if you don't stay together, I'll have to choose.
Yeah.
Right. And it actually felt like very emotional. So anyway, but like mostly everybody, if you're just like, yeah, this woman is like, I'm turning 30. I'm hot as hell. I am beautiful. I've wanted this man and I'm finally going to take him, and I'm going to take him all over.
Perfect.
This is birthday shot is like a shot of sexy fun.
Get what you deserve, ladies.
Correct. Go Shay. So yeah, I loved it. It was really, really fun.
My final book is the only man's birthday book. Well, if you don't count Sophie Jordan's, the only man's birthday book I could think of, which is The Viscount Who Loved Me, Anthony Bridgerton.
Oh,
and that's because,
of course.
Now, listen, I'm not going to tell you the plot of Viscount Who Loved Me. You can go watch season 2 of Bridgerton for that. But it's important here, and this is where we get back to like, what is the point of a man's birthday?
Yes.
And so the
existential dread
of Viscount Who Loved Me is Anthony's father, Edmund, died of a bee sting. It's not funny. Listen, being allergic to bees is a serious business. But he died of a bee sting when he was whatever age, 35 or whatever, 30, I don't know, some age. And Anthony is terrified that he won't live past his father's death date.
And also, like, doesn't know how to. Right? How could I possibly be older than my father was?
What could come of this? You know, this is why. And so there's like the bee trauma, which brings us possibly the sexiest scene Julia Quinn has ever written, which is, you know, when Kate gets stung by a bee. And
he just loses his mind.
Suck the venom out of her breast. Shonda Rhimes, what are we doing? We missed the...
seriously.
What have we done?
think that's when I was done with Bridgerton. I was
Jacob
like,
Tierney
listen,
would never, everyone.
Jacob Tierney, probably, you know what? I'm going to retcon Jacob Tierney was probably like, listen, let me show you how it's done. After
Can we just get it? Wait,
the fumble
Jacob,
of the bee string.
Just spitballing here, but what if Ilya is allergic to bees?
Amazing. A plus.
So anyway, and then in the epilogue, and I have to assume this is like one of those moments where, you know, I wrote an epilogue in Day of the Duchess, right? Because Day of the Duchess has a thread of infertility, or, you know, the heroine in Day of the Duchess has a stillborn child. And when I wrote the epilogue of that book, and I wanted I think I've talked about this on the podcast, that like I went back and forth between like, were they going to have children or were they not going to have children?
Yeah.
And ultimately when I decided like, yes, I want them to have, I wanted to use the epilogue where they have children. I had to really like think through like, how many children have they had in order for the fear to be absent,
to be gone. Yeah.
Right. And so, you know, so whatever, I did that. And I think with Bridgerton, with the Viscount Who Loved Me, the epilogue of this book is Anthony's birthday.
Yeah.
And it's his birthday because it has to be. Like, we have to see him thrive.
Thriving, right, exactly.
And we have to know. And in order, I think, like, it was probably that Julia was feeling like, in order for Happily Ever After to be believable, we need to know he clears this hump.
Right.
And so he does. And that is the only birthday I could think of.
That's a great example. Perfect. A plus, Sarah.
Thank you very much, Professor.
I can't grade anybody. It's the summer, so I'm just going to keep grading you. Periscope up, A plus.
Well, so that is birthdays. Everybody, if it's your birthday this summer, happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
You know, I love a birthday. Jen doesn't love a birthday as much as I love a birthday, but I do love a birthday.
This was a fun episode, though.
This was a fun episode. And tell us on Instagram or Blue Sky or on the Discord if you can think of other books that have birthdays in them. There must be a million that we have missed.
Oh, so many.
But tell us, like, why the birthday is important, too. I'm always interested in, like, you know, how are writers out there doing stuff? So you can find us on Instagram or Threads at FatedMatesPod, or at Blue Sky at fatedmates.net. Or you can join our Patreon at patreon.com/fatedmates. And that gives you access to the Discord, where listeners are talking about romance novels all the time. It's super fun. As I said, I was at this event in Brenham over the weekend, and a bunch of Fated Macers came out from the Discord. It was so fun.
Yeah.
And they all hung out, and we had a great time, and I gave stickers out, and it was so fun. And the Discord is really, really fun. Also, I do also want to shout out the Discord too, because I was in Houston for like a day and a half, and I asked for recommendations for fun things to do and places to eat, and the Discord delivered. Man, they are amazing over there. So you can head over, like I said, to patreon.com/fatedmates to join and learn more and get access to the Discord. You also, if you join the Patreon, get an extra episode of Bantr every month. Eric said that now we're up to 35 episodes, which is...
It's amazing.
Incredible work. And those feel a little more bantery. We talk more about craft on those episodes than we do in real life episodes. But you can find them all there at the Patreon, or on the Patreon. Other than that, tonight, Jen is in Chicago at Women and Children First with Sophia Benoit, celebrating the very definition of love. And other than that, I'm Sarah McLean, and I'm here with my Jen. I'm here with my friend Jen Prokop, and we are Fated Mates. And happy birthday.
Happy birthday to you.